All right, guys, we have quarterback Jalon Daniels. You guys can go ahead with questions.
Hey, Jalon, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm good. Hey, I wanted to take you back to even coming to Kansas in the first place. Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Brent Dearman, your relationship with Les Miles, and how those guys got you to Kansas?
I've always had a strong connection with Coach Dearman before he even became the offensive coordinator. He was the analyst. He was always hitting me up about the scores of the games throughout that whole entire last season. I feel like he's always had faith in me, and I feel like Coach Miles always had faith in me, so I made the decision to come here.
What was it about the Kansas program that you liked and where you maybe saw an opportunity?
Coach Miles he told me a lot. I've always wanted to be the guy to turn around a program, and I feel like I have the chance to do that with my teammates here.
Yeah, and then if you think back to when you signed with Kansas, could you have imagined that year one you'd be the starting guy right away?
No, that's actually truly a blessing to me, honestly. As a true freshman, you never know what you're gonna encounter when you get here. I just always worked with my head down, and when the opportunity came, you're supposed to take advantage of it.
So, Jalon, when you first got to campus this summer, did you think at all that you'd be the starting quarterback by the time we're midway through the season now?
I honestly had no idea. I always had the support of the other quarterbacks in the room. We always support each other. We, as the quarterback room, we always push each other to be the best quarterback, and the outcome came.
Was there a certain point where you kind of got a sense that you were close to taking that spot?
No, sir.
What do you think you've done to impress the coaches so far with your play when you're in there?
I say energy with the freshmen. As a freshman quarterback, you have to always have that connection with the team. I've always had a connection with the freshmen, and that eventually built towards all of the veteran guys. I started gaining respect from veterans like Kenny Logan, Chris Hughes, and then the Thomas McVitie and Miles Kendrick has always been 100% behind me, and I've always been 100% behind them.
As you're kind of continuing to develop this year, and kind of you've been thrown into the fire as a freshman, playing, and what have you kind of heard from Dearman about maybe some parts of your game that you need to improve on as the season plays out?
Fire the trigger. As a freshman quarterback, you always have that thought in the back of your mind. Don't make the mistake. When I come to the sideline, Coach Dearman usually tells me to just pull the trigger. Don't hold back on throws. Make the throws that you can make. And he always has that faith in me that I can make the throws. So that's something that I really need to start working on, which is pulling the trigger.
Is there any play in particular, maybe from the other day, that kind of falls in that category that comes to mind?
Not that I remember, no.
I know you've only played a handful of games. No touchdown passes yet. What has kept that from happening so far?
I feel like that also has to do with me being gun shy. I don't want to make that mistake, so I pull back from making the plays that I know I can make sometimes.
What's Dearman tell you about how often you get hit, and when you take off running, does he tell you to get down, or any tips there?
Yeah, most definitely. Of course, they always encourage me to get down, not take as many hits. But growing up as a quarterback, I can't shy away from what I've always been doing, which is always try to make a play. If there's not a play, always try to put all of the energy in to make the first down and move the sticks.
Those are different hits than you've taken in your life, aren't they?
Most definitely.
What's the most memorable one so far? Do you have one that stood out, or maybe you forgot?
My first ever hit in college football against Baylor.
Sure.
I got high load in the backfield, and that that was one of those hits where I was like, okay, yeah, this is college football. Let's prepare for the next play.
Jalon, you got on campus. Was it the last week of June you got on campus?
It was in the middle of June.
Okay. Just how fast has everything come for you, and have you had to learn so quick?
Of course, everything has came by fast, especially with this offense. It's a fast-paced offense with the RPO. Everything's just been going by fast, but I feel like I'm adjusting to it perfectly fine.
When you were at Lawndale, did you guys run RPO?
No, not really.
Hey, Jalon, I remember seeing a video of you, I think, throwing the ball. It looked like maybe you threw it like 70-plus yards, I think someone said. How far can you throw a football?
From what I've last thrown, about 72, I believe.
I guess what is it with your arm strength? Is that something you always had? Is that something you built up? And if so, how did you build that up?
Growing up, I've always had arm strength, but my problem was before high school was getting accuracy. As I progressed through high school, going to Lawndale, my coach and my quarterback coach have always worked with me about aim small, miss small. So that's exactly where my accuracy has come into play. But arm strength has never really been a problem.
And then just one more thing for me. Do you remember the first conversation you ever had with Brent Dearman? Maybe when he introduced himself to you, your first time talking on the phone. And can you tell us a little bit about that if you do?
I honestly do not remember.
Yeah, you were just mentioning your arm strength. You have a pretty significant weapon in AP, a guy who can get deep down the field and, beat secondaries with his speed. What do you two need to do to maybe make some of those big plays happen more often?
Me and AP, we work day in, day out. We always have conversations. We work after practice. We work on those deep ball throws. That's just something that me and him are going to have to progress on throughout the season. This is my first year here, so me and him don't have the connection that I would have like with freshmen, because I've been working with freshmen since I got here, touched campus on summer, but I haven't worked with any of the veterans like that until practice started. So that's just a connection thing and a building thing that me and him are going to work on.
Hey, Jalon, speaking of the connections with freshmen, you hooked up with Luke Grimm 4 times. Do you guys have a connection going?
Me and Luke, we've been talking since before we both touched campus. When I first got here, me and him were working on the field, working in the weight room. Me and him we've always had that connection, and it showed on Saturday.
Jalon, I know you've only had a few games, but you've got a few left. What are your expectations for this team and for yourself, the final 4 games of this season?
Well, we've had a lot of freshmen play. So as a freshman, you need a lot of experience in order to better yourself. So I feel like the more freshmen that play, the more experience we're going to have. Me being a true freshman, that experience is something that I've always wanted. And now that we have a lot of freshmen that are on the field getting that experience, I feel like it'll show, the progress will show.
So is that the expectation then? Just keep showing progress and wins or losses, whether they come or don't, it's just about progressing and developing?
Of course, the end goal for every team is to win games.
Sure.
But all we can do is keep working on the field, keep working in practice, keep working in the film room, and just keep studying everything that we can. We're always going to put our 100% all in the field. The score may not show that, but as a team, we're always working and always trying to progress.
Great.
Hey,
Thanks,
Jalon,
man.
you had a lot of young guys playing on the offensive line on Saturday. How would you evaluate how that group did?
I honestly feel like my freshmen online did extraordinary. I've always loved those guys up. Get like Garrett Jones, Amaje Adams-Reed. I've been talking to them since before we touched campus before. These are situations that we've always talked about since before we got here. None of us knew that we were going to touch the field as freshmen. And the fact that we're actually getting that experience that we've always talked about is pretty amazing to us.
And just looking big picture, where do you see this program being by the time you're a senior?
I feel like we're going to do a lot of big things. We have a lot of big things coming our way.
Jalon, you mentioned
you
earlier
had more
that
carries than anybody on the team last week. How much of that is by design and how much of that is just what you're familiar and secure with?
Can you ask again, please?
You had more carries than anybody on the team last week. How much of that is by design and how much of that is just what you're familiar and comfortable with?
It's a little mixture of both. Of course, we have plays where I have to read somebody in order to pull the ball. But then there's some plays where, like I was saying, I'm always looking to extend the play. So those rushing attempts come from those as well.
Jalon, you mentioned about earlier that you've always wanted to be a guy to go in and help turn a program around. You just answered a second ago about all the freshmen that you played with on Saturday. Is that something you guys talk about a lot? Just big picture, keeping things in context, and what you guys want to do over the next couple of years?
Most definitely. Literally, you said it. That's something that we all have dreams of doing. That's something that almost everybody in this class has thought about or talked about. That's just the goal for us, and that's also the goal for Coach Miles.
Hey, Jalon, I want
Were you scared when you hurt your ankle late in the game, and how is it?
Well, when it happened, I thought I injured it by doing the same thing again. So I automatically went into shock, thinking like, "Dang, is it the same thing?" When I got into the locker room, I started walking around, and I was like, "This is not the same pain that that happened in the Oklahoma State game." So I feel like I'll be okay.
Hey, Jalon, I wanted to ask you about that fourth down pass you had to Luke Grimm in the second quarter. I think it was 4th and 6 at the 40. Just what did you see on that play? How did it develop? And how did you maybe have the confidence to take that deep shot when when you're throwing the ball that deep on a fourth down, there's no guarantees.
So before that drive, Luke was telling me that safety was biting down on that out route the whole entire game. Coach Dearman called up the perfect scheme for that play. I looked to the right side of the field, seeing my wide receiver Ezra Naylor going into his route. The corner, I seen corner and man. I seen that safety come down, and he did exactly what Luke was saying he was doing, which was biting on that flat route because he thought I was going to throw it to him. Luke took that one step to the out and seen him bite, so he went up the field, and it was just a race from there. And Luke Grimm is one of those guys where if somebody's behind him, you're 9 times out of 10 you're not going to catch him.
One more question for Jalon.
What can you tell us about Daniel Highshaw?
Daniel Highshaw is he's a guy. He's most definitely he reminds me of a Marshawn Lynch. He doesn't go down off of that first hit. He's going to keep on pounding the ball downhill. He's a downhill runner, and that's what I love about Daniel. Me and him have most definitely grown a connection since the beginning of summer camp. We always have these quarterback challenges because he tried to challenge me in those when he was in high school. He was a quarterback, so he always tried to challenge me. But me and him have a very good relationship, and I feel like he's going to be one of those guys.
What did he show on that touchdown run that he had?
Oh, he showed a lot of strength right there. I was outside playing receiver, doing my little wide receiver stuff because, I'm a little versatile. But he showed a lot of power in that. I think broke about 3 tackles to get into the end zone and would not be denied. At the end of that play, most people didn't notice it, but that was another freshman, Luke Grimm, who made a perfect block for him to get into the end zone, knocked one guy into another, and made that hole clear for Daniel to score.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jalon.
Thanks, Jalon.